What did you just say, Matt?
Well, we got an intro first.
Let's intro first.
I was gonna play a Creed song for the Corridor podcast, but then I didn't because it's Creed.
It is licensed music.
Well, you're going to, and then Matt dropped us a truth.
I dropped a little bomb on you guys.
Drop the bomb.
And Matt, drop it again because we weren't rolling.
I'm dropping it again for the audience. My mom was in a Creed music video called "My Sacrifice."
My sacrifice.
She was the. Oh yeah, you do.
Was she the sacrifice?
I guess so.
Is she the sacrifice?
I don't know
Yeah.
what that music video is about because it has mermaids and a younger version of Scott Stapp, and then an old man version of Scott Stapp.
Oh, I don't even know.
And
What?
yeah, my mom was holding an umbrella in the rain. If you guys want to go back to that music video and relive your childhoods, my mom was holding the umbrella. She had a blue dress on, and I auditioned for the kid that's under the car, and I almost got it, but that son of a bitch, some cuter kid got it, and it could have been me, man.
And your real mom is now holding your fake son.
Yeah,
Fake
brother.
like,
She's looking over
my
at
real
her.
son should be here, but
but
he's not cute enough.
wasn't pretty enough. Not for Scott.
Did that immediately catapult your family to international fame and fortune?
Believe it or not, no, not at all.
Shoot.
But it's cool. It's cool though. It was shot on the Universal Studios lot
In Florida?
Yeah, in Orlando, Florida, and they flooded the whole park
Oh my
for
god.
some of these shots. So
Freaking Creed, man.
yeah.
I was just also
wild
saying,
times.
like, so basically we got onto this subject because Jake was riffing
I'm
on his
just
guitar.
adjusting my focus if you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm just
And
adjusting
a
my
couple of the
focus.
chords you hit, like, instantly, like, reminded me of Creed. I was like, "Are you playing Creed?" Like,
Welcome back to the Corridor Cast. It's
And then-
episode 97 today.
Yeah, you know, Creed is one of those bands that for the last like 15 years, I never revealed that I used to really like.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think I was in like fourth or fifth grade, when I was like, Creed's cool.
I jammed to some Creed.
Creed wasn't
man.
that bad. It's just
Yeah,
yeah.
some of the
No
music
one
was good.
No one knew they were a Christian rock band, and then like it came out they're a Christian rock band, and everybody's like, oh, that's not cool.
They were the
Right,
Trojan horse of Christian
kind of
rock.
kills the whole rock and roll vibe, you know. Like
Yeah.
if you want to sing gospel songs, go ahead. But the whole like posing as a rock band while you're doing it kind of goes against the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing.
Wasn't there okay, Scott Stapp was his name?
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a leaked like sex tape of his or something like that?
I don't know.
Where like there's a
Oh,
bunch of
saucy.
women around him and he just looks straight at the camera and is like, "It's good to be king."
Wow.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
did
I've
not
never
know
seen it.
about
I just read about it one time in an article at some point in the last decade.
I'd believe
And that,
it.
that fact stuck in my head. I was like, what?
He was a rock star, man.
I mean,
I believe that.
and just
I have
riding
no
that wave
idea.
of Christianity.
Yeah, in the Creed
Christian rock.
Nickelback era.
You know, they should really just team up with Nickelback and go on tour, I think.
Yeah, they should.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Little double
That would-
feature.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate.
Didn't Nickelback do like the main song for Spider-Man? It wasn't Nickelback. It was like the lead singer's like
Oh,
solo project.
yeah. Was that the second Spider-Man movie? And it was the lead singer of Nickelback with another band. Or
Spider-Man, always swing
Look
around.
at this Spider-Man.
It was Hero. That's right.
Hero.
God, that was
I'll
the the
be
worst.
your
That was the worst
Spider-Man.
time for rock and
Wait,
roll.
not the Foo Fighters song, right?
No, the only a hero can save
Oh,
us.
right.
That's right. That is.
Because there's a
That's
really
wild.
good Foo Fighters song called "My Hero" that's
Yeah.
of the same era,
Yeah.
and I was hoping it wasn't that because that would have really killed the Foo Fighters vibe for me.
Yeah.
Thank God they got past that one. Flew
All
under
right,
the
do we
radar.
need an intro here? Should I play an intro or did we just do it?
I mean, we
think
kinda
did
Just
it.
play us a
it.
song real quick.
Okay. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
Sweet. Excellent.
So today was kind of a big day in the studio. Not kind of. Today was actually a real big day in the
Ooh,
studio.
Yes, it was.
Every day is a big day in the studio. But today we had Scott Adkins come in and join us for Stuntman React. And
Founder of the Adkins diet, right?
yeah.
Wait, no, surely
no,
not, right?
No,
Okay.
he's not.
Okay. You had me going there. You had me in the first half.
Freddie put it well when he said Scott Adkins is probably one of the three best active like martial artists on film in the world.
Mm.
Did you say that on the couch? Because Freddie was a co-host.
Yeah, Freddie was a co-host today. He did not. He sat on the couch before Scott was here, before we were filming. But it's like you have Tony Jaa and the guy from the Raid and Scott Adkins.
Wow.
You know, I mean, there's more, obviously. You know, it's like, and obviously Jackie Chan's like still doing some acting and stuff. But in terms of like, you know, guys that are out there actually doing the fight scenes and whatnot, like Scott is really up there. And
What are some examples of like his most well-known work?
So he has this series called Undisputed, which is a pretty well-known like thing. It's like a kickboxing, like a Russian underground kickboxing, like prison fighting movie.
Okay.
But he's in a bunch of stuff. He's like a bad guy in a lot of movies. He was in The Expendables 2. He was in Ip Man 4. He was he fought Tony Jaa in a couple things.
Oh, he was in Ip Man 4?
Yeah, he's the main bad guy in Ip Man 4.
Oh my God, he is.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Wow.
He's like super accomplished and he shoots like 4 movies a year. It's like he's just out there doing stuff. And like,
dang,
it was really, really, really encouraging to hear him talk about it. He's like, I just was really into martial arts films when I was a kid, so I wanted to do it, and that's what I did. And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You just
But does he say it with a cool accent though?
Oh yeah, because he's
definitely.
like British or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got like this like
British or whatever.
well, you know, it's like oh no, he's Welsh actually. It's like I don't know the difference.
Oh, Welsh.
I mean, that's fair.
No, I don't know if he's Welsh. I'm just saying like but he also has like this like solid like baritone raspy voice, which is obviously a great asset to have if you're an actor as well. So he's like this all the time. Yeah. And the other cool thing about him is that he has a YouTube channel where he's doing a very similar thing to what we're doing, but just like deeper dives into action. And once again, it's like, imagine if Matt Damon had a YouTube channel where he talked about like the ins and outs of acting and had like guests on every week. And he just did it because he was into it. Like that's what this guy is doing. But he's in the martial arts, you know, cinematography world. It's like there's such a level of authenticity that like is so encouraging to see others out there that like have found success, but they're still like really nice, good, wholesome people who are doing it because they actively are like in love with what they do. It's like, oh, it's so good. The world still has good people in it.
All right, I gotta know. Did you roast Eric?
We didn't roast Eric Linden because we didn't have a fight scene that we could pull up that was like a specific example. I did pull up 2 of our fight scenes that we did, hoping to have them roasted. And Scott just told us that we did a good job. He's like, these are actually legitimately good. You guys did a great job filming it. I really like them. And it was like, oh, I feel like an asshole for roasting you.
Dude, that bit in the high fall video where it like zooms in on you and you're like, yeah, and sometimes I feel like I'm not supposed to be on the couch. You know, I got to do a real stunt.
Yeah, I'm like I'm surrounded by Guy and Aaron Tony. Like literally, both the Black Panthers are on the couch beside me. I'm just like, hi, I'm Nico. Yeah,
not just both of the Black Panthers. All the Black Panthers.
Yeah, yeah, and Falcon as well.
Falcon, sorry, Black Panther stunt guys.
Yes.
Yeah. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, but also it's funny not to hit too hard of a tangent here. We're gonna take a quick turn because you mentioned the box fall video. Hey, I became a meme for a little bit.
I love that meme so much. It is so good. The moment I saw the first one, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's picking up some traction, making the rounds around Reddit.
I'm just gonna pull it up real quick because
I think I only saw one. It's been memed.
It's been memed a lot on Reddit.
Yeah.
Jordan posted one.
Yeah.
That is. I don't know if you can see this clearly, but
hey everybody, today's a big day for me because I'm going to be jumping off the roof of this building.
Yep. So of course you lead in with some text as all memes do, and it's like me accidentally calls my teacher mom. And then be like, picture. It's a big day for me. I'm gonna jump off the roof of this building. I don't know who made that meme, but it's amazing.
Yeah, somebody on the Corridor subreddit put it together, started it, and then kind of took off from there. But just it makes me really happy because like a lot of other people have had memes. Like Ren, you've been in a bunch of memes. Sam even got memed. My favorite meme from Corridor, honestly, it's an old one, and it's Sam like sitting in this like weird rundown lot where we were filming Sync or something like that, and it's just a bit of wisdom. He says, You buy a man a console, he'll game for a generation. You teach a man to build a PC, he'll game for a lifetime.
That one makes the rounds on like r/gaming every now and then, or PC Master Race.
Yeah.
Ren, I told you this story, but I'll tell the audience. Ren got used in a natty one. My wife was in a group text with a bunch of people, and somebody used a meme of Ren saying something.
like, oh, really? Or
yeah,
or,
oh, really?
Or I'm like,
I think
I'm kind of impressed or something. I forget what I said.
It was
I don't know.
something like that. And they didn't know that, Wendy knows you, obviously. They just used it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Scott Adkins came in, and like every once in a while we get like where somebody joins us in the studio, or we're around somebody who like exudes like this extra aura of like being extra human. It's like human plus. Like when we did the Tom Cruise deepfake, like the guy that came in, I can't remember his name. Evan, that's right. Yeah, Evan. Like we all felt like we met Tom Cruise because Evan had that vibe, that energy, that aura.
Yeah.
And like Scott Adkins like possessed not the Tom Cruise aura, but just like that heightened like, man, you're like a human being that's
when
like
I
a
met
little
Scott
bit elevated.
Adkins, I felt like I had met Tom Cruise.
But yeah, like he had a level like of wisdom and charisma and authenticity, but also like just somebody who's been like so true to their vision that like it just, you feel like you can feel like this extra little bit of energy coming off them, which is cool. Not to get all like woo-woo-y, but yeah, it was really neat. And probably the coolest thing was that he comes into the place. He's like looking around, he's like, oh, hey, cool. Just happy to be here. He like looks at me. He's like, you really know what you're talking about in the Stuntman React episodes. I'm like, really? Yeah. But I did notice like both me and Freddie did a lot less joking this time around because like we both were trying to like, kind of act like we knew what we were talking about and impress Scott a little bit. Like there weren't like the goofs and gaffs quite as much as just us trying to act like, insightful and put out good questions.
I saw a comment at some point, I forget where it was, but someone pointed out that when we have guests on for VFX Artist React, I at least tend to be less joking as well. It's like not less joking, but a lot less like me.
Yeah.
Just like wild card me, right? Mm-hmm. When we have a guest on. And it's like, it's very true though. It's like, all right, I'm sitting next to like someone who's pretty legit. I don't want to just like embarrass myself by being me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's different than just like friends on a couch talking about VFX.
If Freddie's there, I'll goof around with Freddie. That's no big deal. And of course, like when it was you, me, and Clint, we would goof around all the time. That was like a lot of what made the show special. And having a guest on is special too. Just a different kind of special.
Yeah. I noticed we all offer up a lot less information when we have guests on, like legit guests. Like we'll ask questions, but we're way less inclined to like throw out like, here's how they did this shot. You're like, it's like, I'm not here to tell you this stuff for this episode. Right. The guest is here to tell you that stuff.
I mean, that's the point, like you don't want to step into where the guest space is there to offer, the video gold that effectively they have to offer to people. It would be kind of weird if you invited somebody like that on and then we're like, okay, Scott, let me tell you how this was done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
and it's not even like that stuff doesn't happen. I feel like on the cutting room floor, it's like we want to focus on the guest, more than anything. Like, yeah, sure, you guys throw things out there, and that's great, but usually what ends up in the cut is the stuff that, the guests are saying and you guys are bouncing off of.
Yeah,
can you imagine if all the episodes of Hot Ones were just, I forget the main host.
Yeah,
Sean Evans.
Sean, that's right, Sean. He's just asking them to ask him questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like, I mean, Nico brought up that point, and I think it's pretty good. It's like, it's not just a matter of trying to do things for camera as much as just like, here's someone who actually knows some of this, some of the back end type stuff for what we're looking at. I have real questions. And I have real desires to learn what this person knows.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think a lot of that ends up coming across on camera as opposed to us goofing around. Because it's like, like Sam or Nico on the couch, like, I might have a real question, but chances are I already know what they're going to say.
Yeah, you're just as versed in the stuff as we are at that point.
Because our skill sets are the same. We all do the same thing. Well, bring in someone who works in the industry, their skill set's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Even if we're all doing effects.
The other reality of it too is like, even though we have arguably quote unquote been working in the industry for, our 10 years now, like YouTube just isn't the same industry. Like YouTube is not viewed the same as like doing movies. And so it's not quite the same legitimacy as like somebody who's shot films or somebody who's done TV shows or that kind of stuff. Even if we've all shot the same amount of hours of content, it just has a different vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, back in the early days of VFX Artistry Act, like the first year, so not exactly early days, but I would definitely see some salt online from like VFX artists who are like, I don't know what the right word for it is. Not bitter, but kinda like that we're like getting the success of views and whatnot when they think we just don't know what we're talking about because we've never been in the trenches, you know, working 80-hour weeks and a working on some movie coming out because the deadline is like in a month. But we can totally relate to the working hard part. We've definitely pulled those long hours, but not in that pipeline, not in that workflow.
Oh, hey guys, Brandy O'Daniel here, back with today's sponsor, Storyblocks. Now, I've brought out these blocks, these play blocks from my childhood because I thought there'd be no better way to teach you guys about the wonders of Storyblocks than to use these blocks right here. So first example, okay, you got Stonehenge, right? That's where we're gonna get to. But before you get to Stonehenge, all you have are stones. These stones are roadblocks to you and your final product. But because Storyblocks is the one-stop shop for all your stock asset needs, you take these stones and you turn them into Stonehenge. That's right, do you see this? Now all of a sudden you can pass through using Storyblocks' high quality 4K B-roll, audio, motion graphics, images, and more. And you can pass from the roadblock, right, to the story block. They also are constantly updating their library. They have a virtually unlimited library. So anytime you come to a roadblock, you can go back onto Storyblocks and everything that they have on there is gonna be new and different for you this time around. With a Storyblocks Unlimited All Access plan, you can use unlimited amounts of anything that they have on Storyblocks for your videos royalty free. It doesn't matter if it's a commercial, right? It doesn't matter if it's a YouTube video or an Instagram video or even a movie. It doesn't matter. You can go ahead and use anything on there, download as much as you want, whenever you want. So anyway, if you guys are interested, all you have to do is click the link in the description below or head on over to storyblocks.com/corridorcast and you can get started. That's storyblocks.com/corridorcast. And now back to the podcast. I'm gonna go down here.
I think that's common though, like on YouTube specifically. People have show formats that blow up, and then there's a lot of, I think, especially when they initially blow up, there's a lot of hate around that format because you perceive the person as they just kind of got this success, or they didn't put in the work, you know, because it's such a non-traditional pipeline to, you know, notoriety or what have you, that I think that happens a lot. I mean, I can tell you even personally, like this was a little while after MrBeast had already blown up, but I remember me being salty about that.
Oh, I remember that too.
Yeah, because I was just like, what has he done? You know, but then I went and you guys were like, no, really dig into his content. And I really went in and I dug into his content. I was like, no, this guy knows his format and he knows what he's doing, even though it doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's just this dude, you know, and who's doing all this crazy stuff. But he's if you add up all those hours and you add up all that time, it's like there's a wealth of knowledge there that he had to do and go through to get to where he is.
MrBeast, I think Jimmy is his name, right?
No.
I thought it was the J. Anyway, MrBeast, he's one of those guys who seems like an idiot, but is actually kind of a genius.
Yeah.
Like he has this era, of like aura. Yeah, that was like, I said era. I was like, that's not right either. God dang it. Of like kind of just like aloofness, nonchalant, like, yeah, 10K. Yeah, sure. And then like I was like, sure, yeah, 100K, yeah, whatever. But it's like that. It's intentional. You know, it's like there's a lot of strategy behind how he acts, and also few people have experimented as much as he has experimented with formats.
Right.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall until eventually a couple things started clicking, and he started just building on that. And
like VFX Artists React.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is with VFX Artists React, you know, back to like the being in the trenches thing, like Sam and I did make a tour through those trenches a little bit. You know, it's like we haven't obviously done it as much as like people have been in the industry for a long time, and maybe that's where like a little bit of the like divide comes into, where it's like, imagine you're in World War I, you're like, wow, look at these trenches, this is pretty nuts. Cool, I'm gonna leave. See you guys.
But I think that same attitude applies to how they view freelancers as well. I think it's about the camaraderie of being at an actual like house, like, you know, maybe not necessarily ILM, but like, you know, Method, MPC. I can't think of any other houses right now. Yeah, like all these, you know, visual effects companies that hire, you know, a couple hundred people. And so you got like these rows and rows of desks of people just working long hours doing effects. I've never once had a desire to join one of those companies. It was never something I wanted to do, but I wanted to be a VFX artist. After I got, of course, within 2 months of graduating college with a completely different degree, but...
Did you get your degree?
I did, yeah. No, I have the diploma. Or rather, I have the degree and have never once used the diploma.
Do you know where it is?
I do.
Yeah?
It's in a box in my house.
Nice.
But
Sick.
I mean, yeah, sick, bro. I guess what I'm getting at is, you know, I feel like they feel that they have battle scars that they've earned, and maybe they identify that we are guessing about something that they know is wrong, and they can just, you know, put that up to our inexperience in that setting. But that doesn't mean we're inexperienced with visual effects.
Right.
The flip side of this, though, is that I feel like people start kind of expecting us to kind of be not just VFX artists, but like incredible VFX artists.
Yeah.
Which is kind of problematic.
Yeah.
As demonstrated by the Terminator 2 video that came out recently.
Well, and also compared to delivering shots that what they're comparing to are whole houses full of people, VFX artists.
I was just,
instead of like 3 guys, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of that is like, now because VFX artists React has been so successful, like that is kind of our brand to a lot of the public. It's like, oh, we're VFX artists. Like in reality, I consider myself a filmmaker, you know, first and foremost. You know, I'm as much a VFX artist as I am a cinematographer. Like, these are all just tools and things I need to do to be able to make stuff. And I think that's what made the VFX Artist React series, for myself, at least why it worked for me, is that I could approach it not just as a VFX artist, but as a filmmaker, as an artist, as an audience member, as a fan, as a, you know, as a million different things, and give it all those perspectives. So it's not just being viewed from within the one box, but from the entire picture, which is what you do too, as well, you know, Ren. And you know, we all bring different like angles towards it that aren't just VFX React angles. I mean, it's as simple as like bring in the whole like physics side of, you know, VFX. Like you don't necessarily have a lot of physicists that are also visual effects artists. You don't necessarily have a lot of musicians that are also visual effects artists. You don't have a lot of actors that are also visual effects artists.
I will say, I know a physicist, a theoretical physicist, who is also a pretty good visual effects artist.
Really?
His name is Henry, and he runs the YouTube channel Minute Physics.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
You know Henry.
Yeah.
Henry Reich.
He's also
Yeah.
a very good fiddle player.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I'll never forget
Okay,
the time
so-
you guys were playing at VidCon, and you started playing. I think it was like you started mishmashing the Game of Thrones song with the Skyrim song.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, this is the coolest song I've ever heard live. Oh my god.
So along the line of fiddle players, I think that there's an analogy here. The traditional VFX houses are like an orchestra. You know, it's like a bunch of people, and you have first chairs, and you got second chairs, and you got people that are just there to try to get one of the chairs. And then we're like a banjo band, you know, we're like a ragtag. We got a fiddle, we got a banjo, we got a guitar,
Slide
you
whistle.
know, maybe there's a guy that plays the
Slide whistle,
spoons
wolf
and the
whistle.
whistle. Yeah.
We're
Now,
like
that music can be interesting, but it's never going to be the same thing as orchestra. An orchestra will never be the same thing as fiddle music.
We're
They're just
like-
not.
to add on that, I think we're more of like a banjo band, and all of us know how to play a bunch of different kinds of guitars. You know, it's like we can play a bunch of different guitars, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're that good at any of those guitars specifically.
Yeah, none
We
of us
might-
are- we're not all Joe Satriani or, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we know how to do 3 chords and the truth, you know, and get the message out there, the song, and people see it and they're like, oh, that was really good. And then the orchestra's like, oh gosh, it's so ghastly. How could they, you know?
Yeah. That's it. To be fair, there are also a lot of other VFX artists at these places that do enjoy the channel.
Oh,
And,
okay. You are totally right, Nico.
we're not trying to just rag on all the hardworking full-time VFX artists out there.
In my
creating
experience,
Mozart symphonies. No.
Yeah.
Damn them and their symphonies.
from the people I've actually talked to in the professional industry who have worked, I've talked with artists at ILM, at MPC. Their general perception is appreciation for what we do, because we are, making visual effects not just more understandable to the general public, but also more fun. And there's a lot of value in that. I think we've probably inspired a lot of people to get into this industry that wouldn't have otherwise. And that's really cool. It's awesome.
No, I think that's super cool too. I hope we can encourage people to, get turned on to arts and passions that they're into and follow those things. And, every person that comes along that we can help even just a little bit in that regard is that makes it all worthwhile, I think I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. So right before I was going to college, I was talking to my grandma, and she's a really nice person, super sweet, or she was a really nice person, super sweet. She passed away last year. And I wasn't expecting to do this, but she challenged me. She goes all right, Nico, you're a smart guy. Why aren't you going into medicine? You could be helping a bunch of people. Why are you going into film? And she had been super supportive up to this point. I was totally not expecting her to be what the heck? Why are you doing this?
Oh no.
And it was and I had to pause for a moment, because she had basically challenged me, anybody out there who's hardworking and smart and going out there to do things, what are you doing for the betterment of everybody else? Why aren't you doing this for somebody else? Why aren't you doing things for other people? And there's a pause there. It's well, I think with filmmaking I can entertain people and inspire people and tell stories and help people find those truths about the human condition. Obviously I'm half BSing my way through this question, but
while slightly sweating.
Yeah. And she's good answer. But there's a moment where, it was a little bit less about my answer to her and more about pausing and thinking about that is something I need to think about regardless of what I'm doing, whether I'm doing filmmaking or whether I'm going to go off and try to become a research scientist and come up with a cure for a disease. What is it that I'm doing with my time and efforts that's going to help other people? And now pausing here and looking back at what we've done with YouTube, we've gotten enough messages and emails from people that said hey, you helped me get into my job, or you helped me find my passion, where it's yes, I did it, Grandma. I pulled it off. Actually, I called her May May. I did it, May May. So yeah.
And then the sound of John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech comes on, and he asks what you can do for your country and not what your country can do for you.
In this decade.
Yeah.
Sorry, every time anyone mentions that, I have to say, in this decade.
In this decade. Yeah, no. It's been an amazing run so far, and I can't wait to see what the next year of it brings and who we can get on, and you know how we can take it even further. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool. I mean, it's crazy because today was a big day. Scott Adkins came in, but it's I guess I was on vacation last week, but the week before was a big week. I jumped off the roof of the building. It's every week comes with a crazy thing here, and
after calling your teacher mom.
After calling my teacher mom, I jumped off the roof of the building. But yeah, it's everything's been this whole being able to do something new every week can be a blessing and a curse, and it all kind of depends on how you look at stuff. But I've found it, at least right now, to be very much a blessing to be able to explore something fresh, frequently, a week at a time, because so many other people are grinding on something for so long and they're tired of it and they're done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's sometimes, it'd be nice to look at a project for months and work on it and just make that one thing as cool as you can make it. It'd be fun, but do not take it for granted that we get to have the variety that that our life has right now, because variety is the spice of life, as they say. Yeah,
as they say.
Yeah, helps my ADHD a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I appreciate most about this job is what you're talking about, Nico, the ability to do all these different things all the time, but also I'm able to lead a lot of these ideas, and I really love that. I love being able to come up with an idea and see it through to completion. However, something that I've come to realize is that when you do too much of that, it starts getting it's a little taxing, perhaps, which is why I wanted to do these James Bond effects. I wanted to put myself in a situation where I didn't have to make any creative calls.
Yeah.
I don't want to figure out what to do. Tell me what to do and I will do it, at least for a little bit. And then I'll go back to making these other things.
You need a break from that stuff. Yeah, it's very mentally taxing.
I spent the entire last week and whatnot just like researching all the solar stuff. And it's just like at the end of it, like it was literally like full-time study work. And I'm because it's like, it's not just a matter of studying information. It's trying to figure out how that's going to factor in with this other information for the point I want to make. Is this the right point I want to make? Is this the right point in time that I want to make that point? Oh, you mean I just have to cut James Bond in half? I can do that. Throw on some music, slice him up. Sure.
That's the kind of fun creative work that's not too mentally taxing, but has its own problem solving. That's just fun.
Well, and this has been Matt and I's chance to take the lead on it,
Yeah, I wish I could have done that a little more last week, but it's all good.
Yeah, I know you were sick, but even still, what you put together in the initial edit, I was able to jump on and leapfrog on. And, and then now you're able to come in this week and take another pass on it to refine
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So,
I think there's something pretty cool there.
Oh, I know what we could talk about now.
Oh,
Topaz.
I was going to say it. I was going to say it too. Yeah. So, dude, that's crazy.
So there is this program called AI Video Upscale, I think. It's got some kind of general name like that, but it's from a company called Topaz.
Topaz Labs.
Topaz Labs. And they make a bunch of AI image processing apps. They're all like anywhere between $100 and $300 a pop. Most of them are for like photography stuff, for like upscaling your image, denoising it, bringing stuff from out of focus into focus, colorizing it, all driven by machine learning models that are trained on, I don't even know what they trained it on, but they've got this trained model and that is their software now. One of their programs is basically built entirely around upscaling low resolution footage to high resolution footage. And it works shockingly well.
Yeah.
But Matt and I were experimenting with this today and it can break down with...
It's not great for everything. Yeah. But what it's really good for, and what I applied it to today, is a very specific piece of BTS footage from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the BTS anywhere on the internet is super low quality. Like we're talking like 200 pixels.
It was literally like, I think it was 200 by 140 pixels.
140 or something crazy like that.
And that footage was a scan of probably VHS.
Yeah, definitely. Yes,
scan.
It was scanned, but 100% scanned on a VHS tape. So that's all we were working with. And it was what we would normally look at when we look at footage like that. As editors, we go, well, we can't use that. We have to figure out a way to like supplement this without using the BTS footage. But we used Topaz. I ran it through Topaz and it totally worked. It made it look sharp enough to where we could actually use the BTS footage as supplements for what we were talking about on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Wow. And it was great. It's a very useful tool for stuff like that.
What are the fallbacks of it?
So some of the fallbacks are the fact that like it is still, I mean, Nico, you could probably touch on this better than I can. It's still like, it can't make anything it doesn't already understand. And sometimes it will, like, let's say I was working on this James Bond shot and one of the shots, it like crisped up his face like really nicely. You can kind of tell like when you zoom in, it's more of like kind of a smooth, almost like an oil painting type look to it. But when you zoom back out and look at it wide, it's just, the detail is just like very high res and it looks great. But for this other shot, the background was out of focus and it made the background in focus.
Yeah. It literally like removes the depth of field.
Yeah.
But only in sections though.
Only in sections, yeah.
Like so for the silhouettes of human bodies, it'll make it super sharp, but then right next to it in the background is super blurry, like how the original footage was. So it's like this weird, like in focus, out of focus.
And like it was able to identify machinery that was out of focus in the back and make it really crisp and sharp and stuff like that. And there's this, you were looking at one of the shots from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids that it actually even added text to a sign.
Yeah,
really?
That was completely out of focus.
Yeah.
Or not out of focus as much as just like, it was so low quality and blurry that like you couldn't there wasn't any detail there.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was a sharp sign. It almost looked like a downward facing arrow with a bunch of characters in it. And it generated those characters because it's been trained on signs. And so I bet we were talking, like, if you were to go actually try to read that sign, I bet it just says gibberish.
Yeah, it was just gibberish.
Yeah, and so it recognizes that, like, oh yeah, usually when we look at signs, there's these weird, like, blocky shapes that look like this. And it just probably made some random blocky shapes that kind of at a glance look like text, but isn't. A lot of that sort of stuff happens. And then more than anything, you see, especially with that footage blowing it up as much, it gets really weird around the faces. And it almost looks like there's keyframe, like iframe type moments where it's like every second, like you can kind of see the image just shift in places.
Yeah, because doing something that's temporally consistent is
it was the temporal stuff.
Yeah. So when in the world of VFX and filmmaking, you have spatial resolution and things like that. So spatial is basically just referring to an X and Y axis thing, aka your image. You have basically a graph that is colored in with pixels, and that's your image. But you're in the world of movies, you don't just work with one image, you work with images over time. So then you have temporal, resolution and things like that. So like, the temporal resolution of a movie is 24 frames per second. The temporal resolution of a shot on the slow-mo guys is like 1,000 frames per second. And when you're doing something that has, like, say, AI upscaling, where you're processing an image, you can process a single image, it can make everything crisp, but then the next frame that it processes needs to be temporally consistent with the previous frame. In other words, your details can't flicker or jump. Like that sign, for example, that you're talking about, where it just made a fake sign out of the blurry sign. The next frame, when it does that again, the same symbols need to be in the same spot. You know? And that's a really challenging thing, which, it's one thing to do it with images, it's another thing to do it with video. And, Topaz Labs obviously pursuing those problems with gusto.
It's like, as far as temporal consistency goes, think of this analogy. It's like, imagine you have 100 frames that you have to rotoscope this person out of, or some random shape, and it's like kind of detailed. If it's just one artist working on it, they'll do like the first frame, last frame, and then like work in the middle and like kind of keep things consistent over time, just as naturally as you would as a single artist. But if instead you kicked out that 100 frame shot to 100 different people, each working on one frame from the whole sequence, and then compile all of your stuff together, there's going to be some weird things. Like maybe one frame, this person got really hyper detailed about rotoscoping the gaps between fingers. And then the very next frame, the guy's like, mitten.
Yeah.
We should try that and see how it goes.
I mean, we know how it goes. That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
You'd end up with this
working.
flickering that would be more noticeable than if you just had the mitten around the whole hand the entire time, versus like, one person maybe did like the Spock hand type deal, and then the other person did all 5 fingers, and the next person did mitten. It's like AI is only looking stuff one frame at a time. So that's where that inconsistency comes from, is because it may see and understand an image later on, but it doesn't understand the context of where that image came from earlier on in the shot.
Yeah.
Now, there are ways to, go about doing this. There's like style transfer to kind of carry things through.
You can train neural networks temporally. There's one of the big things these days that they have you can do is called like optical flow, basically. Optical flow is a really old thing. It's been around for a long time.
Surprisingly old.
Yeah, but basically, optical flow is computer just. I mean, optical flow is basically how H.264 works. The codec that we see all the time. It's just going to look at your blocks of color and patterns in the image, and as they move through the image, it's just tracking this one thing and how it moves. So you can basically just have one element and move that one element, as opposed to redrawing the element, fresh every single frame. But you can basically feed an AI optical flow, then it helps the AI know what object is where and what objects are moving from where and going where, and it'll help make things consistent, as opposed to thinking that every time your hand's moving across the frame, it's a new hand each time.
Now, as far as Topaz goes, it's usually pretty dang good temporally. But there were some of the stuff that I was looking at that you did for the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, it got really weird with faces.
Yeah,
and
it's a great example of like how far you can push it and how far you should push it.
Granted, you were throwing like a worst case scenario.
The
at
worst.
The program.
If you guys want to look up like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids behind the scenes and look at the YouTube videos, like it is just absolutely unusable. It's horrible. So the fact that we're able to pull anything from it is pretty insane.
Yeah, and the program has a bunch of different models that model that we were using was specifically for like low resolution. There's like models and then options within those models you can choose. You can choose like the low resolution model, and then you can have it go for like compression, like artifacting, blocky artifacting, or just blurry. Like it was just low quality blurry footage, which is different from compressed footage. Or like maybe there's some aliasing going on and you got like jagged edges and stuff like that. And it's like, it actually is pretty dang cool.
It is.
It has different features you can sort of refine for.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you give it a set of parameters that are based on like what your input footage is.
Compared to what we've had for the last, decade or so of basically you can just literally scale up your footage and the program will kind of just blur the pixels together as it scales up. I don't exactly know how that works, but instead of seeing the actual blocky pixels just kind of get bigger, they kind of like do a 4-point average.
Is that bicubic?
Bicubic, I think. So then After Effects released this in one of their new updates a while back. They released a detail preserving upscale, which is an effect that I've used a lot, where basically you apply that and scale that up within the effect rather than the layer of the footage. And it does look a little bit crisper. Like it actually is a little bit sharper on some of the details. You could change a couple different options. One of them is bicubic. One of them is detail preserving. You can reduce noise, increase the sharpening on details and stuff like that. But it was only ever just as good as what you put in. You couldn't.
It's not inventing detail.
Exactly. And that's where the Topaz thing is coming in. It's literally inventing detail, which is nuts when it works.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, some of these machine learning tools are so awesome, and to see them actually now like being utilized in our process is also really cool, because we've been sort of waiting for this and hoping for it and watching it evolve for the last few years, but I feel like it hasn't been until really the last 18 months where they've really started to be part of our process.
Yeah, and even then, like, very few people are using it. Like, we were doing deepfakes before any studio had, deepfake people. Like, only, like, in the past couple months, I think ILM hired their first deepfake artist, like, 2 months ago.
Yeah, we were using, like, little servers that people put together and just kind of were in some backwater of the internet, to do the processing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, like, how little resources are going in from a visual effects company side into like machine learning. Machine learning in general like is being used all over the place, and I personally think machine learning is a far bigger like technological impact on society than something like cryptocurrency is. Don't get me wrong, cryptocurrency is interesting, but like for the amount of like news headlines that something like Bitcoin gets versus the amount of news headlines machine learning gets, like machine learning is way more of a game changer in my opinion.
Crypto is just making people a shit ton of money, so that's probably why it's
not losing it. Not today.
Or I guess maybe not right now.
Actually,
but
we bought the dip today, so we're
bought the dip.
good.
Yep, buy that dip.
So
there you go.
Actually, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it's all. I mean, most of it's based from news from China again, which has kind of been the catalyst for some of the drops that have happened over the last 3 months. But basically they're continuing now with more force to crack down on the use of cryptocurrency. It's wild. It's like, I guess they see it as a threat or something, but like obviously they do.
It's not
Otherwise
a
they wouldn't
centrally
crack down on
controlled
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense when they're, autocratic as they are. But yeah, like that has this effect, and and then today there was like a huge drop. But then but then it came back up about 25% from today's
Yeah,
lows.
This morning at 7 a.m. was a pretty sharp dip.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
Biggest dip in so far this year.
Yep.
Well, other than the fall after the 66,000 level.
Yeah.
That fall went down, but yeah.
I meant
Anyways.
like as in terms of like an all-time low. Obviously not an all-time low, but like the lowest it's been this year.
Well, I think there's
this year, yep.
As somebody who is not very informed on cryptocurrency, I'm going to talk about it for a second here. Nico's hot takes. Well, they're kind of not that hot. They're microwaved slightly.
Hot pocket takes.
Hot pocket
still a little
takes.
cold in the center.
Pocket takes.
I think we're reaching a point now where there's actual reckoning coming up against cryptocurrency, where it's a concept. Everybody's like, this is a cool concept. And now you're hitting the point. It's like, cool. Can you do anything with it? And obviously you can do things with cryptocurrency, but like now you need to start that process. It's kind of like, it's like the .com bubble that happened in 99. It's like all these internet companies are popping up and it's like, cool, internet companies. This is definitely the future. It's like, yeah, you're right. It is the future. So which one of you guys are actually going to start making products and making money? It's like, ooh.
And everyone goes,
it's like, there's so many different coins out there. It's like, which coin's going to be Yahoo and which coin's going to be Google?
Ecuador did just accept it. I believe they passed a bill that I don't think it's gone into effect yet. I could be wrong, but they just passed something that said we're going to accept it as currency nationally, which now has all these other global implications because now, say if the United States recognizes the Ecuadorian currency, well, then now also it needs to recognize Bitcoin. Because that is now a national currency of that nation. So it's starting to bubble up, and it has been, and that's kind of what caused the initial run at the beginning of this year. And but you're right. I think a lot of it's kind of now fatigue in terms of like, okay, now there was this huge run up. Now what?
Yeah.
And
now, like, if it's going to be a currency, well, there's a lot of things that a currency needs to do that none of the cryptocurrencies actually do. So it's like, okay, well, got to solve that problem. But is that problem going to be solved for Bitcoin? Probably not. Bitcoin's a pretty old platform, technologically speaking. It's probably going to be solved for different types of cryptocurrencies. And so you got to kind of, what's going to happen where, who's going to actually turn it into a viable product that you can actually utilize, who's going to come up with the first network so you can exchange it easily. You can't be.
You're right. It is like early days of .com because they all are sort of tied to one another. When Bitcoin goes up, they all do, and when Bitcoin goes down, they all do, and that's a very clear sign of people just looking at it as one industry. Just going, it's gonna, Bitcoin went down, so that means everything else should. Yeah. When eventually they'll de-link. When those actual products that you're talking about start to come to fruition.
I mean, I've seen a lot of correlation between Ethereum so far this year and Bitcoin a few years ago. Like if you were to overlay the two graphs, they actually are very similar in their dips and rises. The frequency of them and the magnitude of them are very, very similar. But, we have the next several years worth of Bitcoin of data that we could just project for Ethereum. But
the problem is that we only have one of those rounds with Bitcoin even. And that was in 2017, when it got super hot in 2017 and then it came down. And even the history of it, we barely have any data sets. It's not like gold where it's like, we've had these data sets for, as long as there's been gold.
Speaking of Freddie, he had an awesome hot take on, here, I have the tweet. He says, I have logically deduced the only way to become filthy rich off crypto, you must forget you own crypto.
Yeah, that's true.
And to continue, it says, to explain, there's an unknown percentage chance that whatever you own will eventually be worth an amount that makes you filthy rich. However, to get there, the price must climb. You will be tempted every second of every day to just take profit. It's like, who among you can say you will turn down $300,000 in your pocket right now? I'm reading this in Freddie's voice in my head. I'm accidentally doing an impression.
And his hair's going like this when he's saying it.
And it's like the only people who can resist that temptation are fanatics. Thus, non-fanatic crypto enthusiasts, I hereby offer a service where you pay me to hypnotize you into forgetting you own crypto. I will send an email alert when your coin hits your price target. A key phrase embedded in the email will cause your memories to come flooding back. You will be shielded from the stress of a price climb or the psychic turmoil of losing all your money. If you become filthy rich, congrats. If not, you won't even know.
Here's the thing, okay? Like, nobody becomes filthy rich off any one thing. Like, that's just not how it works, I mean,
except for the few lucky ones. But
yeah, you have your outliers.
They're outliers,
But still, like, logically speaking, yes, you could theoretically, I mean, my brother was telling me the other day, there was some guy that he works with that bought Dogecoin, and he bought a bunch of it, and then it went up to 75 cents, and he had like $750,000 in profit, and he didn't want to sell it, and now it's down to 17 cents.
Yeah.
And
He just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Flatline.
So
People always
I-
forget the second stage, which is sell
the
high.
crash. The
Buy low,
crash.
sell high. If you're like,
I mean,
buy low.
I bought a bunch of Ethereum and Bitcoin back in early January. And so by the time like early May was hitting, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then of course I didn't sell. And now it's like, I'm back to basically how much I put in to begin with.
Yeah. Well, you have to put that on a USB drive, forget about it for like a decade, and then come back to it. I think that's
No,
Freddie's.
first I have to dig it out of the landfill that it
Yes.
eventually
Right.
ends
Yeah.
up in.
Yeah,
Right.
lose it for
Lose
a
it
decade.
first, yeah.
then find
And then
it
you
again.
have to find your passphrase, your 17-word
The
passphrase.
seed phrase, yeah.
Somewhere in the internet.
I do feel like one of the things that perhaps has made cryptocurrency not clunky or cumbersome, but like I think one of the issues facing it is the fact that it's referred to as a currency. And so just by the nature of that, you have a bunch of financial bros coming in and trying to make money off it, play the stock game off it, do the day trading off it. It's like, guys, it's not even a cryptocurrency yet. Like it's not a thing yet. Like you're always suddenly throwing millions and billions of dollars around and like fucking with this whole system. It's like hold up. You guys all want to get rich quick. Like get the fuck out of here. Like let me
Yeah,
just work
but
on the
that's
technology
not-
for a bit.
That's not how the world works, though.
I know,
you
but,
know
like-
better than that.
It's like you don't
I-
quite have that same like fanatical like pursuit of a technology happening elsewhere. Like yeah, there's money to be made in all sorts of sectors of technology, but like in the world of cryptocurrency, like that's what happened first.
Listen,
you know?
anytime you have that much volatility with the amount of visible potential that crypto has. I mean, this happens in penny stocks, this happens in .coms, this happens in marijuana stocks, it happens everywhere. It happens across, whether it's stocks or crypto or commodities, whatever. I mean, not in commodities, but anywhere. You're going to get that. And so I think it's just a matter of like balancing like, hey, there's a long play, but then there's also short-term plays that you can make that are based on that volatility. And a lot of those people are, they're making money on both sides of it, when it's going up and when it's going down.
Yeah.
I just want to fly jetpacks.
You did fly a jetpack.
I want to fly another jetpack.
Come on, Ray, you already flew one jetpack. How many more jetpacks do you want?
He wants to commute. He's trying to commute with a
on,
jetpack,
man.
guys.
I want to commute to work on a jetpack.
Next
that'd
will
be
be
so
I want to
cool.
just like sleep with my jetpack on. Like, did you ever think you'd say I want to fly a jetpack and you'd be retorted with, "You already did."
You already did. Isn't that wild?
I didn't consider that. That's kind of yeah, good point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to that machine learning thing for a second. I think you're right. I think there is a huge impact. I met this dude at the airport on Friday when I was flying home, and I'm not going to get the exact title right, but basically he works for Facebook, and his job is to come up with and to improve machine learning algorithms for facial recognition in pictures and stuff.
Okay.
And so he was going on and on about this, and it was interesting because he's like, well, what do you do? And so I was talking to him about deepfakes. I was talking to him about how we use machine learning for VFX, and so we had a nice little conversation. But yeah, I mean, he was explaining how there's entire teams called red teams at Facebook, Google, what have you, Amazon, and their job is to basically think like their competitors. And so he was on one of these teams and within like the facial recognition side of some deep root of machine learning that they're doing with pictures. And so his job was to basically try to understand like how could somebody come in and either make this technology better or take it from us, in ways that we may not have perceived. And so his entire job is to just do that, which is crazy because there's these people at these pretty high levels within these tech companies that are doing that. And, it gets to the point where it's hard for even someone like me who deals with this stuff somewhat regularly, you know, and to even follow all the things that he's going on about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Algorithms, it's dangerous. You over optimize and you lose the chaos that makes life worth living.
Yeah. That's well put.
You can create digital drugs just by optimizing for every single little dopamine hit that triggers in your brain.
TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok, literally TikTok.
Free to play games. Video games used to be good.
Oh man.
One more thing, guys. It's episode 97 today.
Whoa!
But you know what that means? That means in 3 weeks, it's episode 100.
Wow.
What are we gonna do?
What
Wait,
are
are we
we gonna
really
do?
that many episodes in now? Dang.
Yeah. So what
We just
are we
hit
gonna
the
do for
100th episode.
100?
Oh, you know what's funny? Sorry to kind of break this off. We also recently had a 100th episode VFX Artists React.
Wow.
Or our 100th React episode, I should say.
Yeah.
Not necessarily VFX Artists React. But that was the episode that the red camera, the wide camera, was out of focus for the entire shoot.
Run that through Topaz Labs.
Topaz,
actually, you know.
literally, that would work.
It's just, I found it kind of ironic because I didn't even realize that was our 100th episode until I saw Nick's Instagram story about it, like episode 100, still going strong. And it's like, yeah, I guess it has been 2 years of us doing this. And that was the same episode that, I guess, because the way we have it set up, we have a couch and we have 2 cameras right in front of the TV, and the cameras kind of block our view of the TV. It's kind of annoying, to be completely honest. And but it's just, that's how it has to be to make it work. And
the eye lines line up to the TV then, and the camera.
so the main problem is that the red camera has this huge screen, you know, big touch screen right above the camera, and that's the big flag in front of the, it's like, just fold it down. So what Nick does is he folds it down, but apparently, because we had been using the red on another project with the Unreal stuff that Sam was working on, it some settings didn't get
autofocus is on.
autofocus was off on the lens, but it was
You know
on
how
in the
cameras are.
camera.
Someone touches the focus ring, and all of a sudden it's unusable.
It was weird. It was so weird. So it's like the whole intro, the first like 5 or 10 minutes were in focus, and then you could see the camera just like focus on the background and stay there for the entire rest of like the 2.5 hour shoot. Was that this one? Was that the Honey I Shrunk the Kids one? It was one that came out recently, and we ended up. I think Chase edited the episode. Maybe it was Dean, but ended up not using any of the red footage. It was all just from the C100.
Yeah.
Which is the zoomed in camera that whips around between us.
There's no worse terror than filming like a 3 or 4 hour episode, hitting the end, and then looking over at like Nick or Dean, and they go, "Oof." And can I take a breath? And they start poking us off. And you're like, "What's wrong?"
I recorded it at 1-to-1 compression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that where it's like, ran out of space. We're like not quite done.
yeah.
Or like we did finish or something like that. And it was like, Nick was like, it ran out of space. What the
I
heck?
recorded the whole thing at 120 frames
yeah.
per second.
Oh, I remember that.
It was like a couple hour episode
Yeah.
at slow-mo. It was a 500 gigabyte file.
Yeah.
It filled the 512 gigabyte card.
Man.
We could just speed the whole thing up and like re-encode it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. They
Yeah.
processed it so
Yeah.
that it was actually like usable, but yeah, I mean, I guess what I was getting at with bringing that story up is that it's even after 100 episodes, dumb mistakes still happen.
Yeah. Also, even after 100 episodes, there's still so much to talk about.
Yeah,
Seriously.
very true.
We were like, how long are we gonna be able to keep this up? And it's like, forever. There's so much
There's
stuff
so
being created
much,
by
man.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's continuing to be, it's like created
Yeah.
every day.
We
so-
still have yet to do
Yeah.
our Spider-Man 2 versus Spider-Man 2 versus Spider-Man 2
That's true.
episode.
The
We
222.
We haven't done we haven't technically done the Hobbit versus Lord of the Rings yet.
No, I haven't
yeah.
either. There's been a few
Can we
episodes
call
like
that
this.
episode VFX Artists React to Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man
and
2s.
The Spider-Man 2s.
Confuse
We've had a
people
couple
if it's
ideas around this.
If there's
This
one
is-
before it.
Yeah, there are a few ideas for the couch that we haven't done yet because we want to be able to actually put a little bit of research into it. The best episodes, in my opinion, are when we actually come to the table with some really cool insights
Yeah.
about how things were done. And while still trying to maintain that sort of like reactionary, like, oh, whoa, that's cool, which is very easy to do because it's like you just look at something and it's like, what is your gut reaction? Play on that. But being able to then go and describe the context for why this looks the way it does, or what was the challenge behind it, what makes this special, if we're just looking at something, we're having to guess. If we can actually go into something with research, it's less guesswork. The problem is that research takes time and we're so busy doing all these other things. Usually what ends up happening is we get down, it's like, okay, what are we looking at today? And then we kind of scramble around for the first half hour, just figuring out what we're going to look at. And then we do it.
Yeah, the part that I just really like about VFX Artists React is there's still the aspect of, I have a cool clip I saw this weekend and I can't wait to see how Ren and Sam react to it.
That is true. I mean, we do try to preserve some of the unknown. So it's like, I will research something that Nico doesn't, and then Nico will research something that the other two won't. And so then we still kind of have a little bit of that guesswork going on, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
That was them natty reacts, dude.
Yeah.
Natty reacts.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was the Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
It was that episode that was the 100th that was
okay.
That one Captain Disillusion episode where he's like, look at them and they're entirely authentic reactions. It's like, those are authentic, Mr. D, Captain D.
Captain D.
Maybe just turn it up a little bit, but.
So, Jake,
Yeah.
podcast 100 in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we need to come up with something for it. We can't just do. I mean, we could just do a normal episode, but
Can we do a live one?
We could do a live one.
No. Okay.
We
What
could do a
if
live
we-
one. I feel like we should play some sort of game that's sort of different than
We can cook
we've
a
done.
hot breakfast right here.
Rooster Teeth does that. You know, they
I know,
have
that's
a
why I
sandwich-
said it.
they have a
I didn't think
pancake.
you'd catch on.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
gonna. It was gonna be my reveal,
I could
but
be
you
the
beat me to
bacon
it. Yeah,
they
Rooster
have a-
Teeth. They have. I forget if it's like once a year. I think every year on a certain day they basically just cook up some pancakes and sausages and bacon.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just pancakes. Actually, I don't know. It's been a little while since I've seen them.
The last one I saw, it was just pancakes, and Bernie was adding all kinds of whatever people wanted into the pancake. And
Oh,
and
nice.
Then, and then he was serving them out. It was pretty funny.
Talk about old podcasts. They've been in 3 different decades.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Kind of, not
they
really.
Started in a dorm room.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
awesome.
Rooster Teeth. Yeah, and now I think Bernie lives in Australia. I think.
Really?
Wait, what?
Or in Texas. He
Australia or Texas? What?
he might be.
I think you mean Austin, Texas.
Australia, Texas.
The old outback
Why
of
did they move
Texas.
to Australia from California? I don't get it.
Now, I
Get
know,
all these damn
I know
LA
I might
people out of
seem
Australia.
really stupid right now, but I'm fairly certain because Bernie stepped away from the company last year, or maybe it was the year before that, at the end of the year, to basically raise his new son with his wife, Ashley.
Okay.
Maybe girlfriend. I'm not exactly sure what their relationship status is, but he was basically just stepping away from the company. And now I'm actually starting to talk about things I don't exactly know, so I don't like this, but yeah, I thought there was something about him moving to Australia because Ashley used to live in Australia,
Okay.
and I thought they had moved there. He now has a ranch. They have like emus and stuff,
Really?
or not emus, alpacas. What do you call
There's
those
a
guys?
lot of
Llamas?
information
Llamas.
going.
I think he has llamas. He's got like pigs. I
Emus
think.
are those birds from Australia, though.
Oh yeah, they're birds. Yeah, I don't think he has emus.
Well, hopefully somebody can tell us in the comments. Maybe we can hit up
Oh, they're
Gavin
gonna
and
correct
ask
us
him.
know
so
where Bernie
quickly. I
is.
got this all
Let us
wrong.
know.
I know it. No, why do I even talk about?
Does Bernie ride kangaroos? Let us know in the comments.
Have you guys ever seen a kangaroo in real life?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
muscular as hell,
They
by
are
the way. They're
scary
jacked.
looking. They are so muscular.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that video of the guy punching the kangaroo?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He just goes up, he's like, and the kangaroo's like,
Oh my
whoa,
God.
I can't believe you did that.
They kind of stare at each other for a moment, and then like, oh, okay, I guess I'll run away now.
Those things will mess you up. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
do that.
I hear they can rip your guts open with their feet.
Yeah. That's what they
Wait,
do best.
really?
Yeah.
what
They
they do
grab you with their
best.
little tiny T-Rex arms,
Yep.
and they take the giant feet, they go, and they like tear your stomach open with their toes.
No,
claws
really?
on their
Yeah,
toes.
yeah, dude.
You know, like how
Oh,
a
that's
cat, when you play with
gnarly.
its tummy and it takes its hind legs, it goes like,
Yeah.
scratch against your hands.
Yeah.
It's like that, but with your guts.
Yeah.
And like bodybuilder muscles.
Yeah.
Like they actually look toned and ripped. There's definition to their
Yeah.
muscles, which
Yeah.
is not something I commonly see on animals.
Yeah. They look like they hit the gym all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those
Very
swole
funny.
kangaroos.
Yeah.
Australia is such a weird place.
It
really
is,
is,
man. It's
yeah.
got some really messed up wildlife.
They got
Guys, you're
they
talking
got
about
real
Austin,
dragons.
Texas.
We just got on an Australia tangent now.
Do you guys realize that we're the last generation to see the world go from having corners of it still be mysterious to being entirely mapped?
What?
Yeah, like when we were kids, there's still like parts of the world that were kind of dark and mysterious. Like satellites hadn't really taken pictures of it yet.
Oh, okay.
Like there's still uncontacted tribes of people that had literally never
Oh, that's
met
true.
modern
That's
Fair
true.
enough,
human
okay.
society.
I guess the ocean is the equivalent of that now.
Yeah, I
right?
guess there's the ocean. So, but there's nobody living under the ocean,
Yeah, who cares?
supposedly.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, and then with our time now, it's like the entire world. There's literally like, it's like you're playing an RPG, or it's like you're playing Civilization. There's fog on the map. There's zero fog on the map. There was some fog on the map when we were kids. There's no more fog.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
feel
done.
like you're in an episode of The Truman Show now? Because, I mean, that was his calling.
I mean, there are 3 cameras pointed at me, 4 cameras.
Oh my god.
So
Our workplace is the Truman
Kind of
Show.
technically 5.
it's cool.
There's a security camera looking at me out there right now.
Everything's green screen around us. Oh no.
Everything's a green screen, man. All right, well, let us know about episode 100. I don't know yet. We'll brainstorm.
Yeah.
Comment
leave
suggestion
comments.
down below.
That's
Yeah.
what we should do for it.
It's got to be something special.
In the meantime, I was thinking about episode 100.
I like the guitar playing. You know what? For those of you guys listening, you said I'm not a huge fan of musical intros. Tough beans.
Tough beans. We're gonna
I
do
like
it
it.
every time.
Jake plays these guitar songs for me. And you all get to just enjoy them also.
Just sit back and relax.
All right, that's it.
What? Come on, Jake.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll do a whole song for you, Nico.
Come on,
Yeah.
take us higher.
All right.
Yeah,
Can you
make a concrete song.
Take me higher.
Can you take me higher
Play an old folk song version.
to episode 100 land? There's gonna be birds just like Wren. There's gonna be comments just like then. There's gonna be a whole 100 show. Can you take me higher? To episode 100 we go.
Oh,
That was pretty good. See, that's what I was looking for.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1.